What's up, Operation Sports Fanatics? This is Coach EB back with another episode of Coach's Corner. This week we're going to take a closer look at the pass game. We spent a couple of weeks on the run game, so we're going to give the pass game a little love this week and take a look at, in particular, one route combination that is a staple of the spread offense, which is four verticals. And we're going to focus strictly on four verticals this week, looking at it from just about every coverage combination that a defense can throw at you. And what I'm going to show you is the fact that that route combination is so versatile that you could realistically employ it as your only pass play throughout a drive and be successful with some of the tweaks and things that I'll show you in this particular episode. Now, I'm doing this in honor of this past week's NFL draft, which of course was a little bit different than what we're used to seeing, but a lot of good things that come out of it. A lot of good things that come out of it for my Cowboys, of course. And so what you're going to see is the debut of CeeDee Lamb and some of the other new Cowboys here as I go through this episode of Coach's Corner. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So the first scenario we're going to take a look at is four verticals versus a nickel normal defense, a standard nickel defense, running Tampa 2 coverage, which is a base cover 2 shell with the middle linebacker, Mike linebacker, running and bailing to the deep middle of the field. You see the corners are about 5 yards off the ball, and they have the flat in this particular coverage. So if they have a flat threat, they're going to sit on it and they're going to cover it. If they don't have a flat threat, which is what you see here, they're going to squat initially, and then they're going to turn and try to run with that vertical route going by them. The safeties are playing what we call deep halves. So they have each a half of the field, and it's their job to stay over the top of anything coming vertical on their half of the field. So your window of opportunity is going to be basically between when your receiver passes that corner before he has a chance to run and that safety getting over the top. What we're doing here is we're introducing a flat player, which you can see holds that corner just long enough to make that window a little bit bigger. Let's see it in action again. So we're going to take our running back. We're going to give him some sort of flat route, so a swing, an out, something that's going to get him into the flat pretty quick. And we can do this out of the backfield, or we can do it and put him in as the number 3 receiver to that side. But you can see what the corner does immediately as soon as that flat is engaged. He comes up and he's the one making that tackle. He's not running with that deep route anymore. We can also do that by introducing a third receiver. Now here on this first one, we're going to have him also run his vertical route. And so now we've got 2 deep vertical routes running at that safety, which can put him in a compromised position and give you an opportunity. As you can see here, that's that middle linebacker bailing as an extra coverage guy. This time, we're going to move the receiver over, and we're going to give him a flat route. Let's go ahead and give him what we call a pivot route. In this case, in Madden, it's called a zig route. He's going to initially show inside, and he's going to go immediately to the flat. So now, he becomes our flat defender. And watch the corner. He's coming up to make that play. So by introducing that flat, I can manipulate that corner and get him to squat just a little bit longer, and you can see how that opens up the window. Next one we'll take a look at is 4 verticals versus cover 2 man, which is similar to that cover 2 shell we just took a look at. The biggest difference being that the underneath defenders are going to be in total man coverage, which means they're going to simply run with their receivers all the way across the field if that's where they go, with 2 deep safeties over the top. So the window is a lot tighter in this case, and what you're really looking for is matchups. You want to try to isolate your best receiver on their worst corner if you can make that happen. Sometimes you may need to move your receivers around, put somebody in motion, set your personnel package a little bit different, but you're looking for the best matchup. The window is going to end up being in roughly the same place as it was in the cover 2, right over the top of that corner before the safety has a chance to get over. It's just going to be much tighter because he's going to turn and run with him. He has no flat responsibility. So that's what you're looking for. We can do some different things with other route combinations in this too, although again, it's not going to make a whole lot of difference. You see when I move this receiver over, all these linebackers do is simply bump one, the other one will move into the box, and that side linebacker will step out to cover him. When I move the running back, which is what I'll do here, because it's total man coverage, you're going to see that linebacker in the box bump out as soon as I move him, and he's got him man-to-man. But again, the window is in that same area, but it's much tighter. Now here what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my running back on a wheel route. And what that simply means is he's going to head out and he's going to head up the field. And so for a linebacker, this can be difficult to cover. In this case, Van Der Esch does a really good job of staying over the top of it, although that's the exception, not really the norm. This time, let's take a look at 4 verticals versus a cover 3 sky. And sky simply means that the safety is going to be rolled down and he's going to become one of your curl flat players. So you can see him with the C on top of him over here. The other safety is going to play deep middle. And so at first glance, it's hard to tell whether this is man or zone, and we'll talk about that more in a bit. Because when we get to cover 1, it's going to look pretty much exactly the same. In this cover 3, the corners are going to bail with those vertical routes. So they're going to stay, their job is to stay over the top of that. And you can see they're bailing. They're not even getting close to the receiver. So they're really going to be focused on not letting you get over the top of it. So those outside routes are not going to be optimal. Versus cover 3, what you really want to do is look for one of these inside seam routes. And you really want to try to throw away from the safety. So if you see him float one way, try to go the other way. You can pump fake one and try to get him to bite and then go back and throw the other way. But really what you're looking for is which of those holes opens up based on where he's going to move. Because the guys lined up over those slot receivers are not going to run with them because they have curl flat responsibility. So they may bump and then let that guy go. And so your window pops in right there. Now let's take a look at a coverage that's complementary to cover 3. And that's because it initially looks almost exactly the same in many cases. And that's cover 1. So that safety will roll down. The only difference is now he's in the box and he's getting ready to blitz. But the corners are basically the same depth, same alignment, and you've got a deep middle safety. So initially it can be difficult to figure out which one you're dealing with, cover 3 or cover 1. The great thing about 4 verticals is that you don't have to worry about that. You're going to essentially attack it the exact same way. And you get a little bit of an additional advantage in that, especially if you have a blitz coming here, that linebacker, the near side linebacker, is the guy who has to now cover our slot receiver on the right side. One way to tell you're dealing with man is if you move a receiver over like we just did. If somebody travels with him, then you're probably dealing with man. If he sits on that and stays on the other side, or they do some kind of slide or rotate over, then it's probably a zone. So that's one way you can determine which that you're dealing with. But again, it's not really essential to know versus this play because you're going to attack it the same way. Here's something else you can do. Now you'll notice this linebacker, Leighton Vander Esch, is all over the field and makes it hard to do anything. But in most cases, asking a weak side linebacker to cover a running back who's already on the strong side of the field that's not an easy thing for him to do. So that's something that you can potentially take advantage of if you're faced with this particular defense and a blitzing safety like that. Because as you can see, you run him out into the flat, and he's the one that's got to come all the way over to make that play. He manages to do that, but can he do that consistently? Probably not. The other option you have, especially when you're playing a man defense, is to pull it with the quarterback and run if you see open grass. Because those guys are bailing and running, they have man responsibility. The only guy that really doesn't is that free safety in the middle of the field. And you can see he's 15 yards off the ball, sometimes 20 yards off the ball. But you can see where your window is. That linebacker makes a heck of a play, but that's where your window is. Just like it was in cover 3, you want to look for one of those inside receivers, which one breaks open first, and get it to him, which is what we are able to do here. Even though that linebacker makes it a little harder, for him to consistently do that, it's not easy. And remember, he's manned up on that receiver, so that is a mismatch pretty much every time. The other thing I can do is I can convert somebody's route to a curl. Because they're giving me so much cushion, I can work that guy off. He's not going to press me. So I can work him off and then break into my curl right in front of him and get my 10 yards. So that's another option you have if the corners are giving you a lot of cushion like they are here. I could also take an out route, especially if it's, third and relatively short. I can just do a quick out. And again, he's going to bail at the snap. He's going to make sure that nothing gets over the top of him. So he's going to give me that cushion underneath. Another one I really like to do is run this slant underneath, particularly if they're manned up. Because, again, my first step is up the field. He's going to backpedal, and then I break into that slant, and you can see lots of open grass and opportunity to make a big play. The last one I'll talk about in this episode is cover 4 or quarters coverage. Now, understand going into this that cover 4 was specifically designed to take away 4 verticals. So you're going to have 4 defenders, 2 corners, 2 safeties usually, who are going to bail, and their responsibility is going to be a quarter of the field and making sure nothing gets over the top of them. So you can see they're already at depth, and they're going to continue to get depth. They're not going to let you beat them over the top. And then you've got flat coverage from usually inside linebackers or somebody like that. So it's a challenge to successfully run 4 verticals straight up versus a cover 4. You're going to have to adjust routes, go into your curls and maybe your outs and slants like we did versus cover 1 just now. But understand, getting over the top of cover 4 is not an easy thing to do. So you're going to probably have to make some adjustments to make that happen. Or go to a different play because you're sort of facing the closest thing to kryptonite versus 4 verticals that you're going to see. Not impossible, but certainly difficult. That'll do it for another episode of Coach's Corner. As always, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch and giving me the opportunity to do something I love to do. Be sure to like and comment with any feedback or questions you might have. And also take some time to check out my personal YouTube channel, Coach EB. I'm just getting it off the ground, but I plan to make it another great resource for guys who love the game and live their lives vicariously through Madden like I do. I'm currently working on a series over there called Strategy Sessions, which expands on what I'm doing on Operation Sports right now in actual game situations. In my next episode, which will post this weekend, I plan to try and run an entire drive running nothing but 4 verticals. Come check it out and see if I can make it happen. I'm also looking to possibly expand the content into other areas like product reviews, so be sure to check it out and subscribe. Thanks again for the support, and I'll see you next time on Coach's Corner. Take care.